What if I told you that the fastest way to make someone feel safe with you, to open up fully and to trust you deeply, has nothing to do with charm, confidence, or saying the perfect words? Psychologists don't rely on luck to build trust. They use proven, intentional techniques that create connection on a psychological level. These are not tricks or mind games. They are powerful, research-backed strategies that anyone can learn and apply, starting today. Because trust doesn't happen by accident. It is built deliberately through small actions that most people never even notice. And once you understand how it really works, your relationships with friends, with partners, with strangers will never be the same. This is Behavior Uncovered, where we decode the mind and master the self. 1. Create a comfortable atmosphere. Trust never begins with logic. It begins with a feeling, a subtle, unspoken sense of safety. Before a single word is exchanged, the body is already scanning for cues. Am I safe here? Am I welcome here? Can I be fully myself here? Psychologists understand that trust doesn't grow in pressure, performance, or perfection. It grows in presence. They don't just speak calming words, they are calming presences. Their body language is open, never closed off. Their tone is steady, never sharp. Their silence is not awkward, it's permission to breathe, permission to be. One of their most powerful tools is something called unconditional positive regard, a concept developed by Carl Rogers. It means accepting a person fully without needing to fix them, change them, or filter them through judgment. It says, "You are enough. You don't need to earn space here. You already have it." And in a world where so many people feel unseen, underestimated, or too much, this kind of energy is radical. You can use this too, not by saying perfect things, but by becoming a safe place for someone to land. Soften your gaze, uncross your arms, slow your voice, listen without preparing to speak. Be the person who signals, "You don't have to impress me, you're already enough." Trust doesn't need fanfare, it needs consistency. It needs warmth without pressure. And the moment someone feels that from you, truly feels it, the walls begin to fall. Because trust doesn't grow in rooms filled with judgment. It grows in spaces where people finally feel like they can exhale. 2. Share small personal details. Real trust isn't built on perfection. It's built on relatability, on moments when someone sees you not as an authority or a performer, but as a human being. Psychologists understand this deeply. They know that while the focus should remain on the client, a small moment of personal honesty can open a locked door. Not a life story, not a confession, just a quiet truth that says, "I've been there too." Imagine someone sitting across from you, scared to admit they're anxious, ashamed to say they feel stuck. And instead of analyzing them, you simply say, "You know, before I did something similar, I felt exactly the same." It makes complete sense. That moment, that small act of shared experience, tells the other person, you are not strange, you're not broken, you're not alone. Psychologists do this with care. They don't shift the spotlight, and they don't make it about themselves. They just drop the mask of distance, and in doing so, they create connection. You can do the same. When someone opens up, resist the urge to give advice or jump to solutions. Instead, share something true, something honest, something human. Say, "That reminds me of how I felt before or I've gone through something similar and I remember how heavy that felt." But remember, the goal is not to redirect the conversation. It's to let the other person know you see them, because you've stood somewhere close to where they are. Trust grows when people feel less alone in their experience. When they realize you are not looking down at them from some polished pedestal. You're sitting next to them, knees to ground, saying, "I get it, I'm here." 3. Ask open-ended questions. There is a quiet art to asking the right question. Not the kind that corners someone into a yes or no, but the kind that unlocks a door they didn't even realize was closed. Psychologists know that trust doesn't grow in interrogation. It grows in invitation, and every open-ended question is exactly that, an invitation to expand, reflect, and be fully heard. Instead of asking, "Are you okay?" they ask, "What's been weighing on you lately?" Instead of, "Did it go well?" they ask, "How did that feel for you?" These small shifts in language create massive shifts in trust. They tell the other person, "You don't have to fit into a box here. I want the full version of you." Open-ended questions are not about extracting information. They're about offering space and saying, "You matter enough for me to listen without limits." In your own life, try asking, what was the hardest part of your week? What's something you haven't said out loud yet? What do you need most right now? These questions don't demand a right answer. They allow truth to come out in its own way, at its own pace. They say, "I'm not here to judge, I'm here to understand." And that, more than anything else, is what trust is built on. Not agreement, not solutions, but the radical willingness to really listen. Because when someone feels safe enough to go deeper and knows you won, to rush in to interrupt or correct, that is when they stop protecting their truth and start sharing it. 4. Show that you're listening. You might think that listening is simply about being quiet while someone speaks. But real listening, the kind that builds trust, is so much more than silence. It's attention, it's presence, and most of all, it's acknowledgement. Psychologists are trained to listen not just with their ears, but with their entire body. They nod gently. They make soft, consistent eye contact. They don't fidget, they don't interrupt, and they don't shift the energy back to themselves. They stay with the person, moment by moment, as if what's being said is the most important thing in the room. But what truly makes people feel heard is this: reflection. A psychologist might say, "It sounds like you're carrying a lot right now. Would you like to share more?" Or, "What I'm hearing is that you've been trying to stay strong, even though it's been heavy." These small, simple phrases let the other person know, "You're not speaking into the void. I see you. I get it. I'm here with you." You can do this too, in your relationships, your friendships, even in passing conversations. Slow down, look them in the eyes. Resist the urge to offer a solution too quickly. Instead, try saying, "That sounds exhausting. How long have you been feeling like this?" "I didn't realize how deeply that affected you. Tell me more." Trust is not built by being the smartest in the room. It's built by being the most present. Because when someone feels truly listened to, they don't just feel heard, they feel valued. And people trust those who make them feel like their voice actually matters. 5. Normalize their feelings. There are few things more powerful than hearing the words, "That makes sense." In a moment of fear, anxiety, or doubt, those 3 words can dissolve shame, soften self-judgment, and open the door to trust. Psychologists use this tool often, and with intention. When someone shares something vulnerable, they don't rush to fix it or label it. Instead, they normalize it. They say, "Of course you're feeling that way. Anyone in your position would." That sentence might seem small, but it carries weight. It tells the other person, "You're not broken for feeling this. You're human." Validation is not about agreeing with everything someone says. It's about giving them permission to feel what they feel without being dismissed, corrected, or analyzed. In a world that often tells us to calm down, get over it, or stop being dramatic, hearing that our feelings are understandable is healing in itself. You can use this in everyday moments. When a friend says, "I don't know why I'm so anxious," you can respond, "It's totally normal to feel that way. You're going through a lot." When someone admits, "I'm afraid I'm not good enough," you might say, "I think almost everyone feels that at some point. You're not alone in that thought." These moments don't erase the pain. They just say, "You're not strange for feeling this. You're safe here." And when people stop feeling ashamed of their emotions, they stop hiding them. And where there is nothing left to hide, trust can finally breathe. 6. Use silence to your advantage. In most conversations, silence is seen as awkward, something to be filled, covered, talked over. But psychologists understand something different, something powerful. They know that silence isn't empty. It's a space, a signal, a sacred pause. When a psychologist goes quiet after someone shares something difficult, it's not because they don't know what to say. It's because they're giving the other person permission to go deeper, without pressure, without interruption. It's a quiet invitation that says, "I'm still here. Take your time." You see, most people are used to being rushed, to speaking in fragments, to watching their words get stepped on by advice or analysis before they even finish the sentence. But when someone simply waits, calmly, patiently, and lets silence stretch for just a few seconds longer, something incredible happens. The other person keeps talking. The surface layer peels back. The truth starts to come out, not because it was forced, but because it felt safe. You don't need a degree to use this. In your own conversations, try pausing before you reply. Let the silence settle. If someone shares something difficult, don't rush to fill the space. Just breathe, nod, hold that moment open. Because silence is not the absence of connection. It is often the deepest proof of it. And when someone realizes they can sit with you in silence and still feel understood, that's when trust stops being fragile and starts becoming real. 7. Keep private things. Private trust isn't built on what you say, it's built on what you protect. Psychologists are bound by strict confidentiality rules, but long before the law, there is principle. When someone shares something personal, something raw, something they don't tell just anyone, it's not just information, it's an offering, a test. It silently asks, "Can I trust you with this part of me?" And the answer doesn't come in the moment, it comes in what you do next. Do you mention it casually to someone else? Do you bring it up without consent? Or do you guard it like it matters, because it does? Psychologists know this instinctively. They treat every detail someone shares as sacred, not just because they have to, but because they know that one broken confidence can undo months, even years of trust. You may not be a therapist, but if you want to be someone people trust, you have to show them that their words are safe with you. If someone confides in you, hold it close. Don't retell it, even in harmless ways. Don't treat it like gossip. Treat it like something living, something fragile, something human. Because when people feel that their truth is protected in your presence, they come back to you. They lean in deeper. They open up more. And with every private thing you respect, you prove, without saying a word, that you are worthy of their trust. Trust isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in quiet moments, in the way you pause before speaking, in the questions you choose to ask, in the space you create for someone to simply be who they are. The techniques you've just learned are not tricks. They're not tools to manipulate. They're invitations to become someone who listens more deeply, responds more gently, and holds space more intentionally. Because when you show up with presence, with patience, and with care, people feel it. They might not say it out loud, but they'll remember how it felt to talk to you. And they'll come back, not because you said all the right things, but because you made them feel safe. And that's what trust really is, not perfection, not performance. Just the steady, quiet message that says, "You're safe here." If something in this video resonated with you, tell me in the comments. I read every one. Which of the 7 practices felt most real for you? Which one will you try first? And if you want more tools like this, grounded in psychology, delivered with clarity, subscribe to Behavior Uncovered. Because once you understand the mind, you don't just change how you relate to others. You change how you relate to yourself. See you in the next video.